Now, is the Steam Deck actually worth it? Well, let's go over a few things and find out. Hey, what's up everyone? GameDad here, and today we are talking about this guy right here. This is the new Valve Steam Deck, and on the surface, it has pretty impressive specs, and it's a pretty cool system with what they built here, especially when compared to other handheld PCs like what is it called, like the Aya Neo and stuff like that, which cost well over $1,000. This one is the 64 gig model, the base model, and after tax and shipping and stuff, I think it was like 500. But let's start with the packaging. Whenever it arrives, it just comes in a nondescript box. You open it up, and it has a little bit of paperwork and this right here. And then one thing we'll start off before we even get into it is where the power cord goes. I thought this was actually a really cool design choice. So this little Velcro strap right here perfectly fits your Type-C power brick. And let's see, what is the wattage on this? I don't even think I can see it anywhere on here. Okay, it's a 240 volt charger. So, you know, you're going to get a really good charge out of that and at a good speed, but it's nice. It kind of just keeps it there instead of keeping it in the case with everything else. Now, once you open it up, you get the Steam Deck. Now, this is a very form-fitted case. It's got really nice material in it, got a little pull strap. That way you can get the thing out, and that's really all there is to it. Now, moving on to the Steam Deck itself. This thing, for what it is actually like paper thin, and in the hand, it feels really nice. I will say the trigger buttons on the back, you know, I've never been one to use a controller that uses these back buttons like this, but I will say they have a nice tactile feel, but at the same time are a little bit stiff for my liking. The triggers, on the other hand, very responsive. Same with the bumpers. The D-pad actually feels very nice on this. I don't really like that it has the high gloss finish because you're going to instantly see fingerprints on it, but it's still nice. And although the button placement on this thing, it does look kind of weird, with everything being so far up into the corners with your A, B, and X, Y, and including your, I think it's like a share button and then your menu buttons up here. They actually fit really nice. As you can see, when I'm holding this, you know, I have large hands, but these buttons are in the exact spots where my thumbs are. And then if I want to use the joysticks, boom, they're right there. If I want to use the touchpads, they're right here. The touchpads, I thought they would be way more gimmicky, but they're actually super useful, and the haptics on them are really nice. When it's off, like it, or in a standby like it is now, they have a little bit of press to them, but no feedback at all, and it's a very weird experience. It's like you're clicking a mouse that doesn't click. But once we turn the thing on, you hit that power button, it just goes straight into whatever the last thing you were doing was. You can hit that Steam button, and you can just go straight through all of your menus, right into your library. And now I will say the touchscreen is very responsive, so that's definitely nice. You can just sit here, scroll through however you want, or you can use your menu buttons, or you can also use the little mouse, and it's really nice. Now, one thing is this console is Linux based, so if you hold down your little button right here, it brings up a little sub menu so you can sleep, shut down, restart, or switch to desktop. Now, I did not think I would be using the Linux desktop side of this, but it has actually been insanely useful for getting things like emulation and stuff to run on this. And as you can see, that was real time. That's how long it took to switch to the desktop, just a few seconds, and then boom, you have your Linux desktop going. Touch works, and your mouse on the right side works for it. The one on the left acts as your right click, so think of these as actual like mouse buttons. But you go through and it just works. I mean, it took a little bit to get emulation set up on it, and there are endless tutorials online by now to be able to go and do this, but one of the first things I did was get emulation up on here. I haven't installed a bunch of ROMs or anything yet. You know, I'm a believer in if you own the title, you should be able to own the ROM, so that's what I do. And I haven't put a ton of them on here yet, but what I have put is running quite nicely, and the emulators seem to really run without any kind of issue. But something else that I wanted to do was get Xbox Live on here, or Game Pass. And there's really easy tutorials from Microsoft themselves on how to get Game Pass running on here. And that was one of the things that I did because, you know, I figure mobile gaming, I want to be on the go, and I want to be able to play my Xbox library on the go. Now, I went ahead and hit the return to Steam button, so as you can see, it is going through and returning us to the Steam OS on here. So that is running, I believe, Proton. And there you see, loads up that logo, good to go. I will say it takes a little bit longer to go from the desktop back into SteamOS versus SteamOS into the desktop. I'm not sure why that is, but as you can see, again, recent games, things like that, including, let's see here, yeah, I put RetroArch on here. I also installed NVIDIA GeForce Now, and I will go over that in a moment as to why I did that. But there's all kinds of goodies on here. If you know John Riggs at all, Yeah Beavis 2, it is a Steam game, and it works flawlessly on here. So definitely go check out that game. We'll go ahead and go back to our homepage here. Now, as you can see here, sometimes the images load, sometimes they don't. I did manually update them, but Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta, that is how you are able to go in and run actual Game Pass Ultimate on here. So what it does is it uses the Xbox Cloud Gaming, so it opens up a Microsoft Edge browser, but Microsoft gives you all of the tools and the Linux terminal code to run to make it feel like you're actually just playing an Xbox instead. So that was really cool, and it just loads it up and you are good to go. So as you can see right here, now I am in the Xbox Cloud Gaming. So anything that is available in Cloud Gaming on Xbox, it is in here. I went in and tested using Halo Infinite, and it totally worked. So that was awesome. It just launches it up. You can see it kind of doing its loading screen right there. It does take a little bit longer than playing on something like a Series X or something like that, because, again, it's running through a browser using your internet connection instead of just loading up directly from hardware. But as you can see right there, in that little bit of time of me talking, it has now loaded up Halo Infinite. And you see everything coming up on it right there, and it looks great on this screen. Now, one thing I have not done is mess with the capture at all. It does have a Type-C, and you're supposed to be able to capture with it. I haven't done anything with that. I cannot find my Type-C adapter to be able to capture the footage off of that for HDMI, but I mean, this is great. It just loads you straight into the games, and right here, Valve Steam Deck, and I'm playing Halo Infinite, you know, their latest title, and it works great. As you can see right here, we've got Halo Infinite. I am playing this backwards and then reverse looking through my camera, but there we go. Hit some triggers. And right there, it's perfect. And if you ever want to get back, you just hit that Steam button, and you're just basically exiting game, and it exits out of your cloud gaming session, takes you right back to your Steam OS. You can go home, and there you go. Just browse through and do whatever you wanted to do. Now, I mentioned earlier about the NVIDIA GeForce Now. Now, the reason I have that on there is actually my single greatest complaint about the Steam Deck, and it's not really Valve's fault. I wouldn't say that it's their fault. I would say that it's Bungie's fault. Now, the #1 game that I play on PC is Destiny 2, and whenever this thing was announced, I was like, oh my god, I can play Destiny 2 on the go. That sounds awesome. You know, I could even connect up to the hotspot on my phone, something like that, and I can play this game whenever and wherever I want. The only problem is, as far as I know, Destiny 2 is the only game that is banned from use on the Steam Deck, and that's stupid. That is because of the anti-cheat software. They claim that it can't run on the Steam Deck, yet there are multiple other kinds of systems that are Linux-based that are running their anti-cheat software. So Bungie and Valve just need to figure that out, because that's one of the biggest games on Steam is Destiny 2. Now, I did put it on here. I did install it. What happens is you start to play it, and then it boots you because it does its random checks for the anti-cheat. And if you don't have the anti-cheat installed, it kicks you off the game. You can keep doing it. It'll keep kicking you off. If you try to circumvent the anti-cheat in any way using SteamOS, Bungie will straight up ban your account. They have an entire article about it, going over it, and again, I think it's stupid, but there are ways around it without violating their terms and without getting banned. One of those is using NVIDIA GeForce Now. That is using a Windows-based machine. Yes, it is cloud. Yes, it is remote. And depending on if you're using the free version of GeForce Now or a paid version, that will determine how much time you actually get to play in a 24-hour period. But it at least works through there. So there is that. Now, the other thing you can do is actually install Windows on this thing. Windows 11, not currently available because of the TPM check that it does, and this is not enabled in the BIOS yet for the Steam Deck, but you can install Windows 10. Now, you would think, okay, whatever, just install Windows 10 then, and install Steam that way, play it however you want. The issue is, not all the drivers are there yet, and honestly, I don't think Valve cares if the drivers are there or not, because why would they? They have an entire operating system ready to go, and they want you to use that instead of using something else. So it's definitely doable, but it's not ideal, and who knows if they will ever come out with a complete driver package to make this like straight up a Windows handheld gaming device as well. But for now, if you're like me and you want to be able to play Destiny 2 on the Steam Deck, you got to do something like GeForce Now, or go with a very awkward install of Windows 10 and trying to get that to run well. And I mean, you would have to connect Bluetooth audio, you can't use the speakers, and there's a bunch of other functionality of the Steam Deck that gets disabled. But then on top of that, you're not actually running a dual boot. It won't let you. You have to either install Windows by wiping your device, and then if you ever want to go back to this, you have to use Valve's imaging software to go back to this, or you just have to deal with what you were given and go with that. Now, let's talk about a couple of the specs with the Steam Deck. I went with the lowest storage size because it does have expandable storage right here. So I was able to get a really good deal. There was a sale on Amazon for a high-speed 1 terabyte micro SDXC card. So now I got a terabyte of storage, and as soon as you put the card in and format it, it automatically starts installing everything to the card for your library instead of installing it to the internal storage. So that part was cool. The only real benefit that I saw to the higher versions was you get a different type of SSD, so it's a little bit faster, but honestly, this is perfectly fast. It's fine. And you got some more storage, and then at the highest tier, I believe you got like some sort of like etched glass or something, I guess, to make it more scratch resistant. I personally did not see the value in going with the higher price tiers just for those couple of upgrades, though, whenever I could just buy a memory card, and that memory card was cheaper than paying for the greater storage. Now again, the form factor on this thing is quite awesome. It's very comfortable to hold. It's not super heavy. The battery life so far has been fantastic. I mean, I haven't been binging AAA games or anything like that. I've been doing a lot of indie and emulation and stuff like that. So those have not really done anything to the battery, so that's been awesome. Connectivity on it has been great. It's got a really nice Wi-Fi radio in it. I haven't used an external controller with it yet. This is more of just, you know, my initial thoughts about the Steam Deck. But overall, it's comfortable. It lasts a long time. It's got a really nice, big, beautiful screen on it. It has more inputs than I know what to do with, so that's always cool. And overall, it's just a really neat device. Now, do I have any regrets about getting it? No, I don't have any regrets about getting it. However, I will say it does still need work. It's still got a ways to go. I think they could optimize and improve the system more. The actual games library for things that are guaranteed to work on deck, that library is very small. I mean, they were promising hundreds and hundreds of titles at launch that work on deck, and they do not have that many. I don't know what the total is at today, but it is not what they initially promised, so that's unfortunate. And I mean, I took that with a grain of salt when they said that anyways, but just because it's not approved for it to work on deck doesn't mean it won't. So, you know, your experience may vary with whatever you're going to pick up. But overall, I do like it. It does need work. They still have more to do, and I would love it if they came out with an actual full Windows driver package. So if I wanted to use Windows on it, I could. The ability to dual boot into Windows, that would be great as well. And unless I'm missing something, that's not currently possible. But the biggest gripe that I have with this is, Valve, you have to play nice with companies that have anti-cheat. There are so many different games and companies that have this now, so you need to find a way to play nice and cater to their rules to make this happen. Like I said, as far as I know, Destiny 2 is one of the biggest games on the Steam platform, and you can't play it on the Steam Deck. Like, that just blows my mind. That's insane. And, you know, that might just be my own personal preference, and I'm really irritated that I can't play my favorite PC game that I play. But that... I'm not the only one. I mean, there's tens of millions of people that play this game, and they can't do it on here unless they want to install it in some janky way or risk having their account get banned. And that's just nuts. Like, that is a huge negative against this for me. So if I had to give this a rating, I would say I probably give it about a 6 out of 10 right now. And that number is only going to get better over time as things get improved and as more things become playable. So, you tell me, do you have a Steam Deck? Are you ordering a Steam Deck? Have you been waiting for your Steam Deck email? I know that I got mine pre-ordered and secured about 5 minutes after the pre-order launch. It told me I was going to be in Q1, and here we are nearing the end of Q2, or we're about halfway through Q2, and I finally have it. Because they bumped my shipment date and everything. So it was really annoying how long I had to wait for this. I mean, it was, what is that, over 6 months that I had to wait for this product to come. I wish it was a 10 out of 10 out of the box. It's just not there yet. I think eventually it will be. And I think that eventually down the line when they release a new revision of this, because I'm sure they're going to, there's no way... I can't fathom that they will not release a new edition of this within the next couple of years after they get this first wave out. I'm sure it'll be backwards compatible, all that kind of stuff. But think of, you know, Valve Pro or whatever. I'm sure that they will have a newer, upgraded version of this at the same price point of these current ones, just because things will get cheaper to source, and they will have learned from any mistakes they made on this one. So yeah, if you have one, or you want one, or you are getting one, or planning to get one, let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell. That way you can alert every time I get a new video coming out. Also, if you like what I do here and you're interested in helping to support the channel each and every month, then please consider becoming a channel member or head on over to patreon.com/GameDadShow, where for as little as $1 a month, you get early ad-free access to all of my videos, including getting your name in the end credits of every video, like the fine folks that you see above right now. And recently, I even added a new tier. That way you could actually get a GameDad merch swag bag. So definitely go check that out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later.